Tulis. Some days I'm despairing. I don't know why I'm here. I'm not sure what good I'm doing to you, my listener. If there's any great benefit to the broader culture in being a journalist, writer, and host here at Nooga Radio, I despair. But other days, I can't think how blessed I am, how God has shown His mercy upon me and given me a great opportunity and a great privilege and a great responsibility to be here with you every day at 9 o'clock at Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and FM 92.7. And one reason I really appreciate your tuning into my show is that together we can work out the problems that face Chattanooga and Hamilton County. And at least we can understand how to evaluate them. We maybe can't solve them, but my goal is to have us desire a right and good thing, even if we can't bring it about, even if we can't don't have enough money to bring these things about. We don't have enough votes. We don't have enough influence. We are not estimable people. We're not notable and great ones. We're just common Americans, common Tennesseans, and we can't bring the things about that we want. And yet I think the spirit of longing for a better way, longing for justice in Chattanooga and Hamilton County, longing for an end to a broken national economy whose outposts are everywhere in Chattanooga, and the fruit of which is everywhere in Chattanooga, especially among the poor. The poor are the problems the middle class and the upper class have, but writ large. There's not enough capital. There's not enough. There are not really as many options for the poor as there are for the upper classes. The more well-to-do people who have bank accounts, mutual funds, and can pay their property tax bill without cringing at the amount of money sent to the county. The privilege I have is that we can, if we understand the problems are right, that national economy and even local economy have brought us, we can yearn for the better way. And often, my job is to make things simple so that I can understand the problem better, work through it, even though there are things that are extraordinarily complex. Now, if you go to Nooganomics.com today, the website of which I'm editor, you can read a story about an encounter between Sam Elliott, Saudi Daisy City Attorney, and Basil Marceau, the inveterate defender of liberty, a kind of a cranky defendant, and a defendant provocateur, as I call him, a man who wants to be a defendant so he can provoke a change through the legal system. And that story is extraordinarily complex. It's very, very complicated. And if you read it, you can see my great efforts to try to simplify, to get everybody's quotes correct. Sam Elliott just sent me an email saying that I had quoted him correctly. And so that's important, to quote people correctly and represent what they're saying fairly and justly in a complex dispute over court authority. Okay, you say, well, what does that have to do with me? Well, the issues are very large in that story, and it's interesting that other journalists who have read my work don't follow up on my suggestions that they cover his endeavors in court as news, because they really are. And there could be a great counter-revolution in his work, a counter-revolution, which of course implies that there's been a revolution. And indeed, there has been. 800-8949, 800-8949. The revolution has been by the state against the people. And what we have in Tennessee today is we don't have constitutional government. We have a state. We have a state with the pretense of constitutionality and in many ways an obeisance to constitutional law and the restraints on the government by the Constitution. But it really goes around it. And it's happened through commerce. By commerce and by becoming commercial government, the government of Tennessee and even the governments of its appendages, that would be the counties and cities, which are its creation, legally speaking, its creations, even though counties preceded the state, even they have become commercial government. And by means of commerce, by means of what in law is called equity, the state has come to overwhelm and overshadow the government, the constitutional government. And you won't find coverage of this process anywhere in the media in Tennessee. I dare say, as I look at conservatives starting, for example, TennesseeStar.com in Nashville, a conservative, very politically oriented website. The people there looks it's simply at the surface, and that's not their fault. We've been trained to do that by public education. We look at the surface, and we don't look at in the depth of how things really work. However, the elites always learn why things are the way they are and how they got there. Those things are never taught in public school. You learn the kind of fables about divided government and how bills are passed in Congress and so on. Those are kind of the fables and the protocols of government, the outward form, but of the state and the transformation of a constitutional government into a state is never examined. It is simply unexamined in the public school sector, and that's why public schools are so important, because they prevent people from finding out. Right? That because you go to public school, you can't find out. You simply cannot understand these problems, and you can't find your way out of them as the thing collapses, as it will be doing over the long term in the next 30 years. It will be collapsing. And by 2050, by one estimate, the whole game will be over, and there'll be something. It will all have been replaced. We won't even remember what we have now, and your grandchildren, when they're in their middle age, by then, they won't even understand the kind of life we live today. It will be in a way unfathomable. There will be great movements of revulsion, a great revulsion in the social spirit among the American people. I think. As this opportunity of collapse comes against the national state and against these religious corporations called states. Tennessee is one of them. Now, we want to talk about the solutions, and what I've got in my mind is something I composed on the way into work today, which is to say, I have my wonderful smartphone, and as I'm riding, even though through heavy rain, I dictated what I had to say, and I'm going to work on this. And so what I love about my job is that I can say things and see things, certain things, and then analyze them and declare them in print. Okay, that is to say, in the newspaper, and then also here in kind of draft form, if you will, on the David Tulis program. And that is my name, David Tulis, the editor with the bow tie. 800-8949, 800-8949. AM 1240 and FM 92.7. We're live on YouTube, live on Facebook, and you can. Jeanette did not pass on my get up today, but I do have a bow tie on, brown jacket, and I'm wearing sort of black blue trousers. I'm not sure what navy blue is, so I'll call them black blue. I'm not very good in the colors still. And that's me here, David Tulis. The analysis that I want to make is Donald Trump asked, "Can we make America great again?" MAGA, the MAGA cap. My son has my middle son, the motorcyclist who carries a pistol on his belt at age 21. In fact, just has come back from Miami from a 21-year birthday with a friend or two. He has a gun on his belt and has had many encounters with the police as a motorcyclist. He wore the MAGA cap and caused outrage among the liberal females in Nashville. He says Nashville is a very liberal city. Now, can we make Chattanooga great again? Well, I don't know that the word again is appropriate. Has Chattanooga ever been great? Well, maybe. There could have been a time, I think, in the 90s that there was a certain greatness about Chattanooga. And perhaps it came from the work of Dave Crockett. Dave Crockett, the inveterate 3-term city council member who acted like a chief executive more than a legislator. He brought this whole visioning Chattanooga process about a process to which I object, by the way. I object to visioning processes and sort of astroturf democracy and pseudo public decision making. These to me are very irritating, and the reason I don't like them for various reasons, because they're sort of anti-democratic in the end. They are the elites, the movers and shakers having a pretense of public approval for their private projects in public-private relationships. These sorts of things really are anti-market. They are part of the cartelization of the economy. But still, even though Dave Crockett was involved in that, and I would at the time have strenuously objected and did object, as I look back on that work now, I see the benefits that kind of man brings to the city. Chattanooga became the environmental city thanks to the work of Dave Crockett, and who ran for mayor, by the way, and lost by very huge margins to the very slick Democrat Andy Burke. Chattanooga had a certain greatness then, and it may, in some ways, may have lost it now. The gig city concept, again, funded by Yankee dollars, 150 million, well, a little bit less, 150 million or 120 million federal dollars borrowed into existence in the bond market have paid for that. But that's not where greatness comes. Greatness is something beyond mere technology. It is a matter of character, the assemblage of all the characters of people in the city. That's what makes a city great. The city is a fiction. Okay, the idea of a city is a poem. It's not, doesn't really exist. You can't say the people, or you can't say. It's really hard to say that because the city is composed of thousands of individuals, thousands of families, each with their own religious heritage, their own religious background, their own presuppositions, their own cultural interests, their own tastes in music, food, and arts, how they spend their leisure, their own goals for spending money or saving money, their own investment plans, their own entrepreneurial plans. They're very, very as diverse as humanity itself, of course. So what is a city? A city is something that the critic creates, right? The analyst creates, the poet creates, the talk show host creates, the mayor creates. These are things that are, the idea of a city is projected by words, a discussion, a conversation, an analysis of a whole, a summary of the whole, a characterization of the whole. That's what the word city really implies. So in a way, it's hard to say that we can have a great city when you may have a murderer in there, right? You may have an adulterer. You may have a rapist in the college dorm, right, who's getting away with it. Things like that. You're always going to find these bad examples. But in the idea of making Chattanooga great again, I'm thinking, what are the things that make that up? What are the parts? What are the 6 parts? Maybe 7, maybe just 5 that make the city great again. And I think the paradigm that's most useful for Nooganomics.com, our sponsor here at the David Tulis Show, and also for you, my listener, and in fact our radio station, the concept, the easiest concept, the most facile one that's the most easily understood is the use of force. What about the use of force? And my suggestion is the following. Here's my suggestion, and let me know if you agree with me. 800-8949, 800-8949. And that is, if we have less force operating within the city limits, and even in Hamilton County here in Southeast Tennessee, if we have less force operating, we will have more greatness. Greatness will come not as force is exercised, but as the use of force, especially the gratuitous use of force, is withdrawn. And then, the question then becomes, where is the force exercised? How is this force used, and how does it keep us from being great? Well, force exercises itself always to the benefit of the one who's more powerful than the other, right? That would be in some respects the wealthy. Look at the use of policing, for example. Who is the victim? Who's victimized most often by the police? It's common people and poor people, and if they're of a certain color, even more so, right? The number of police stops a young black man such as Hanson Melvin has gone through by age 29 or 30, numbers in the 20s and 30s. Okay, that's typical. That is typical. And why is that? Is there probable cause for most of these stops? Usually, I'd say no. And when we look at the Hanson Melvin case, Hanson having been on the news feeds a few days ago at the Chattanooga Times-Free Press, a very nice conversation he had with Ellis Smith, the very fine libertarian-minded writer down there at the newspaper. That's why you should get the newspaper to see what Ellis Smith is writing about. Ellis is a recent father, he having married a young journalist at the newspaper, Joy Lakachik. But anyway, force is decapitalizing, force is humiliating, force keeps people from their greatest genius. If force is applied arbitrarily, it's even more dangerous to the willingness of individuals to invest, to restrain their passions, to control themselves, to become more civil, to look out for others. When you're always oppressed, you are angry, right? That's why there's such resentment in black neighborhoods. The resentment is much against the gangs, whose danger really is not to the common people, but their resentment is more sharply felt against the police. And Chief Fletcher has worked very hard to reduce that. He's worked hard to reduce the resentment by black people, by the poor, against the police establishment, which has 500 militarized officers, all wearing body armor, all wearing multiple clips of ammunition, ready for a gun battle at a moment's notice, and ready to kill extrajudicially as required, right? That is one of their powers exercised by city employees. City employees may kill the citizenry in a statutorily permitted extrajudicial summary execution format. That is something they have the authority to do. And the sheriff will approve of their actions, and the district attorney, Neil Pinkston, will approve of their actions as well. And all that can be done is a private lawsuit seeking redress by the grieving widow or the grieving mother. If we have less force in Chattanooga, we will have a prospect of more greatness. Now, force is not just policing, and I mentioned policing in light of the Basil Marceau argument. Go to Nooganomics.com if you're just joining us, and read and understand my argument, my analysis of what happened in court on Monday. It took me a couple of days to write this story. Very complicated story, but I'm trying to simplify it enough so you can understand why it's so important, and why Basil Marceau's work should be covered carefully by the media, especially since he's going to run for governor again. He tells me as a protest candidate, as some would say, protest candidate. Not only is policing damaging to the morale and the spirit of the city, there are other kinds of force that should be withdrawn. And here we look at form-based coding. Form-based coding is a partial retreat from the earlier zoning protocol, but it's an effort, zone-based coding, which has an idea in the back of its mind of Jane Jacobs and her wonderful book, I think 1961, The Decline and Rise of Great American Cities. I think that's the title. I'm close if that's not exactly it. And her argument is for effectively local economy. She argues for local economy and localization of potentially inhuman and dehumanizing collections of people in the city. And architecture and city planning can make that occur or make it worse, right? They can make those two things together can improve or dehumanize a city. Her book is, I'm sorry, I had the title wrong. It's The Death and Life of Great American Cities. The Death and Life of Great American Cities. It's about local economy. And she died in 2006. She's a conservative journalist and author and an activist, and that's her most influential book, Opposing Urban Renewal. Why? Because she wanted to have a market economy and saw in free relations in crowded neighborhoods, areas of New York, she saw the beauty that we're trying to recreate here in Chattanooga with form-based coding. But form-based coding and the whole coding enterprise, which is unconstitutional and has not properly been challenged yet by a property holder, raises prices. So here, all right, let's say we're trying to measure here the use of force in Chattanooga. Policing would be one example, but the other would be zoning and external controls on property. That is to say, external to the owner of the property by planning commissions, zoning commissions, and zoning itself. Zoning is evil because it keeps out the poor. Zoning always and urban renewal always hurt the poor. They make it impossible for the poor to live near their jobs. If they have jobs in the city, they have to travel long distances to get there because they can't afford to live in the city because zoning raises the prices, right? It raises the prices. And of course, homeowners like that. Homeowners have a stake in zoning because it keeps their values up. They don't have to deal with the fluctuations of the market. They don't have to deal with neighborhoods changing and maybe going down, right? To have a poor sort moving in a few blocks away, they can say, well, I don't like that. And they can control what their neighbors do, and they can control the level of wealth of their neighbors by the use of zoning. So there's a lot of interest, there's a lot of support with zoning because of that very thing. People want these controls because they want you might say a price support for their valuations in paper dollars of their properties. Zoning, though, damages the poor and it damages the marketplace, and you don't have real growth. You don't have the kind of growth that Houston has. Houston is zoning free. And it is a marvel to behold. It is a miraculous city, great and poor, rich and poor, business and residential, industrial and commercial, all mixed up together. It's an amazing place, truly an amazing place. We don't have that prospect here because we have the idea of the use of force against the use of private property. Well, those are 2 points that I would say if we're going to become great again in Chattanooga in Hamilton County. Those are two areas where force needs to be withdrawn or reduced. And we don't want those to be reduced, okay? And because we don't want them to be reduced, we want them to stay there because we find some security, right, in those things. We will not be a great city until in a future generation, these obstacles toward the marketplace, effectively these obstacles to the operation of grace and liberty among equals, right, in an equal horizontal society, until those programs that create verticality are removed, we will have verticality in society. We will have hierarchical society. We will have a class society in Hamilton County and Chattanooga. To be a great city, to be a city-state, we have to have much more equal treatment among others. This is David Tulis, and there's more.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news now.
A possible bomb attack was thwarted in Hixson. Police say they found a man with a homemade explosive device outside businesses in Hixson late Tuesday night. The police say Joshua Redden has been arrested. He's 34 years old, charged with possession of a prohibited weapon, public intoxication, possession of drug paraphernalia, and possession of a controlled substance. The police performed a controlled detonation and destroyed the device. A modern-day Bonnie and Clyde, a couple has been arrested after the police say they robbed multiple businesses across the area. Peyton Cleveland and Bailey Roddy have both been arrested. The police say Cleveland was the muscle man while Roddy was a getaway driver. Miss Roddy was already facing an assault charge from May the 3rd. U.S. Senator Lamar Alexander from Tennessee has secured $37 million for construction on the Chickamauga Lock. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers will continue construction this year. Alexander says everyone who receives shipped goods will benefit. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Expect lots of clouds and still some unsettled weather for your Wednesday with scattered showers and storms pushing back in from the west. Highs lower 70s tonight. Spotty showers diminishing late. Cooler lows mid-50s. Partly sunny, mainly dry, comfortable lower 70s Thursday. Lots of sun on Friday. Check out JCPenney and get to their Memorial Day sale and celebrate the savings with great deals on select items like pillows for $3.99 and tanks for her just $4.99. That's getting your pennies worth at JCPenney. And I'm 1412 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Hoare.
On Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM knows your opinion is important. So call 800-8949. Agree or disagree. Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM, and 95.3 HD4. News, talk, sports. Nooga Radio.
The Harrison Ruritan Club Open Car Show. Be there Sunday, May the 28th, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Tennessee River Park on Amnicola Highway. Spectator admission is free. Pre-registration's $20. Day of the show, $25. Judging begins at noon. Goodie bags, door prizes. The proceeds benefit your local area.
7 specialty trophies: best paint, best interior, best engine, most unique, best tire and wheel, best club participation, and best of show.
The Harrison Ruritan Club Open Car Show, Sunday, May the 28th, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Tennessee River Park on Amnicola Highway. Choose Exit Realty Scenic City. Need to sell your house? Want to buy another house? Choose Exit Realty Scenic City. Our goals are simple. If you're selling, we get you the best price possible in the quickest amount of time with the least amount of hassle. Our agents are professional, competent, and courteous. We stay in touch every step of the way. If you're buying, we make sure you get all the information necessary to choose the right house in the right location at the best price. Exit Realty is one of the fastest growing real estate companies in North America. Our agents have extensive training, state-of-the-art technology, and full support that allows us to do the best job possible for you. If you're in the market to buy or sell, call us today, 423-551-EXIT. That's 423-551-3948. If you're an agent or considering a career in real estate, call us today. See what Exit Realty can do for you. No desk fees, residual income, technology to the max, and people first. Call us today, 551-EXIT. That's 551-3948. We're located at 7610 Hamilton Park Drive, just off the Bonnie Oaks exit.
Need a tiller to get things going for the spring? Spiff up your porch, maybe your deck? Come on by and get a pressure washer at Action Rental. Family in town, need some tables and chairs for an event? Come on by and see us, Action Rental. This is Dan at Action Rental on Lee Highway. Come by and see me, Action Rentals.
Final expenses, funeral cost, cemetery lots, unpaid medical bills, probate cost, debts. Debts are due and payable upon death of debtor. Will these costs produce a burden and hardship on your loved ones? Who will be responsible? How will they handle them? These costs can total many thousands of dollars, only compounded greater with the grief of losing a family member. A safe and secure way to provide for these costs is with an affordable life insurance from Covenant Group Insurance and Financial Services. Covenant Group is a local company with local agents. Covenant Group still makes house calls. Covenant Group only represents A-rated companies. With many options to offer, Covenant Group can accommodate almost any budget. Great discounts for good health and plans available for impaired risk. Call today for a free, no-obligation consultation in the convenience of your home. Call Steve or Jada at 423-855-8484. Call today, 423-855-8484.
I've got a $10 bill for you at the best paint store in Chattanooga. David here. Hi. Big savings right now on paint and stains. Chattanooga Paint and Decorating. More than a paint store. Ring up a can and keep that $10 bill. Save on select paints and stains at Chattanooga Paint and Decorating. More than a paint store. Pittsburgh, Porter, Glidden, Prolux, Olympic, Flood. $10 a can. Savings this week. Jim and his team are here to help and advise and to help you hold on to your money. 5529 Hixson Pike. Chattanooga Paint and Decorating. ChattanoogaPaint.com.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. Now, the smartest guy with a bow tie in Chattanooga, Tennessee, David Tulis.
David Tulis here. We argue for loving your neighbor and buying local, and that is at our multimedia platform, our hot loco-centric multimedia platform with David Tulis in the morning. We are very much for small business, and there's a whole line of business feeding off, you might say, the public school enterprise, and that line of business is the bus service business. Matt Floyd is 44 years old. He's been a bus driver since the age 21. His dad served the public school system with a bus as well. He is the owner of a bus and has owned it for 21 years. His wife owns and runs a bus. We'll hear maybe about her. And a more recent arrival in that family's business is a brother-in-law. Now, there's a problem that Matt Floyd sees, and that is a proposed pay differential between the older bus operators and the newer ones. Matt, tell my listener what the conflict is or what the problem is that you're seeing in the proposed bus contract.
Appreciate it. Well, us older drivers, they're saying that we have an employee status, but according to them, sometimes we're not an employee. And the 14 or 15 drivers that are newer contractors, they are going to be have a contractor status, and there's going to be a pay difference according to this two contracts that they've put out here to us. You know, we do the same job, but yet they want to pay us different.
Well, is not an employee different in his relationship with the employer than a contractor? Because employer withholds monies from the employee, but not from the contractor in the way of federal wage taxes and retirement taxes.
But both of us, as of right now, get paid with a W-2. So that says, according to the IRS, that says that we are both employees.
And now, do you mind being an employee? What do you want to be the case, Matt?
We want to be equally paid instead of one of us getting paid 7 cents less a mile, 7 cents less, or 8 cents less a seat on the bus, and basically we do the same exact job.
Is there a rationale that's been given, Matt Floyd, bus driver, as to why you would be paid? Well, your brother-in-law would be paid less than you. Is there a reasoning given?
My wife and brother-in-law would be paid less, and the cost of fuel, maintenance, tires, upkeep. It's exactly the same for us, but yet they want to pay them a little less than they do us. Us being an employee, we get some benefits. They don't get the benefits, and they're proposing adding extra money in there for a compensation for them not getting the benefits, but the figures they give us don't all add up to what they're trying to tell us.
Well, this is David.
And,
Go ahead.
And, quite a few of the board members are really trying to help us on this and stuff. I don't want to get the wrong idea out there that they're not listening to us. But sometimes the public don't understand the difference between, contractors and a bus service. There's 48 or 49 of us that are independent contractors here, and our money goes back into the system. We live here in Hampton County. We pay taxes. Our money goes back in here. A bus service, their money, we don't know where it goes.
Well,
well,
I have a question here, Matt Floyd. The way you describe this relationship with the county, which is the employer, is unclear. Employer relationship is very, very strictly defined. A contractor relation is distinctly different from the employee relationship. In a contractor, he just brings the results. The employer, there is no employer. There's no one overseeing the process of his work. The contractor sets his own hours, follows his own policies. He just has to deliver the product, if you will, at the right time and the right condition. That's a contract. An employee follows orders. He follows the schedule set forth by employer. The employer generally pays benefits and withholds from him, FICA taxes and other taxes. You're suggesting that there's some vague point between contractor and employee. Are you an employee or are you a contractor?
Well,
you're one of the other.
You make your choice. They tell us when and where and what kind of equipment to run. So, and they withhold. We get paid with a W-2.
So you're an employee. Okay. Now, your brother-in-law, who's being paid less per mile and less per seat, is he an employee too, or is he a contractor?
The same thing. He gets paid with a W-2. They tell him when and where and what kind of equipment to have.
Okay. So everyone we're talking about here, they're called commonly contractors, but in fact they are employees, though they own their own buses.
Correct.
Okay. So I understand you have an investment in you become an employee because you have the bus, right? They wouldn't employ you as a bus driver if you didn't come, if a big hulking bus was not attached to you, as it were. And so you use your personal property, your investment capital to serve the county, and you're paid wages and withheld on as an employee.
Right.
Well,
and under our new contract that they're proposing for, we're going to go with A contract and B contract. Myself, which is an older driver, would be an A contract. The new drivers would be a B contract, and in there they have penalties as such as if you're late to a school, if you're late to a stop, if you miss a child, failure to stop at a stop. They've imposed penalties in there to, and to me, that encourages a driver. We haul the most precious cargo there is out there. And when you impose penalties, like say, if you're late to a stop, it's a $150 fine and per incident. So that encourages somebody to drive a little faster. And, myself, I don't even drive the speed limit because those are all my kids that ride the buses,
Well, do you object to the fact that there are penalties for late arrivals per stop? I mean, is that not a reasonable thing to propose for the service of having children arrive at school safely and on time?
Well, would that encourage you to drive a little faster if you was running behind there, or should you just worry about the kids getting there safely? Because you never know what you're going to, run into on a route like today with it pouring down rain. You need to slow down even more, and you never know if you're going to run into a wreck, a tree down, or anything like that. And the contract does not stipulate, that we're going to take into consideration these things.
Well, so there are no contingencies. There's no contingency clause in the proposal that lets you avoid a penalty for late arrival on, say, very heavy rain or a fallen tree or an accident. You suffer. You, the bus driver, Matt Floyd, suffer in payment when there's an accident blocking traffic.
Correct. That's what their proposal is for this up and coming contract for the next school year.
Well, let's say you had a minute. I know you're on the job and you're not on the job right now. You've got a minute break here. That's why you're able to talk with us. But let's say you had an occasion to send a quick email or a quick letter to the county commission in 2 sentences. What would you be asking the county commission to do, Matt Floyd, bus driver?
To please take a look and help our school systems out. We're lagging behind in Hamilton County compared to surrounding counties. Just like you look over the state line, which is just a few miles away, at the facilities and stuff that they have compared to what Hamilton County has.
And so when you say, are you talking though in this context about schooling itself or the bus service to the schools? Is that what you're talking about in that note to the commission?
The whole complete system. I mean, you just look at what Georgia has right over the line, and just like the article that was in the news, what it cost Hamilton County to build a school compared to Georgia. And, I visit these Georgia schools and they have very nice facilities, and we've got facilities that are falling apart. But
your grievance is not so heavy on you, Matt Floyd, that you wouldn't limit your correspondence in the 2-sentence letter to the county commission to saying something about the bus contract. You don't really have a grievance so much about that you would have to mention it first.
I just think we need to take a whole look at our whole system. And, yes, I don't want to be partial to myself with the school busing, because I've been in it a good many years, the family business. I would like the school busing to continue the way it is and have some increases. It's been 15 to 18 years since a new bus has been bought in Hamilton County because of all the pay cuts that we've had to take. But I don't want to be one-sided, just for my benefit. I want to benefit everybody in Hamilton County.
Well, I know you're being called to the next assignment, Matt Floyd, but real quickly, you're a businessman and an investor. How much, and you've been driving a bus for 21 years. How much in the bus you have now? What is your investment? How long did you have to borrow for it? And how long has it been, or how long will it take to make a profit on your investment? In other words, your return on investment, your ROI. How long is it going to take to make a profit on the investment that you put into the bus that you now drive for wages?
The one that I now drive, it takes several years, hoping that you don't have major breakdowns and stuff. If you have a good year, you do all right. I mean, we make a fair living, but most of us bus drivers, just like myself, we have other things that we do to bring in groceries to the household.
Well, what does your bus cost you? What kind of check did you have to write to get the bus?
For a used bus like we run, you're looking at $18,000. Okay,
and so you still have not found yet in your bus driving work a return on that investment. You say that's still ahead, even though your expense was $18,000.
Right. A new replacement bus for this one, which we can't afford, is $100,000 plus.
I understand. Well, listen, Matt Floyd, thanks so much for joining us here at Nooga Radio. This is David Tulis, and we've been talking with Matt Floyd. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, David.
And that is an important question. We're hearing from a small businessman, $18,000 investment in a bus, and he and his wife both run buses. She runs a separate one from him, and I would guess that if both buses you bought used cost about the same, would be about $35,000 altogether. And Matt Floyd, who serves the Hamilton County school board or the school system rather, as an employee, their employees, they are paid wages, and as we hear, there are penalties for missing stops. There are, of course, GPS systems on the buses, and the flag goes up for a bus that is late, or there are also penalties involved for missing a student or not accounting for every student that's supposed to be on the roll to get into the vehicle. And so but notice in Matt's analysis there, his grievance is not so strong as to figure in the 2 sentences that he would write to the county commission. His letter to the county commission was very general. We need to have improved schools. and not so much written against what's proposed now in the proposal for bus service contract. Of course, the main provider of school transportation services is Durham School Services, that has employed Jonathan Walker, the man who in his accident caused 6 school children death. This is David Tulis, and we are here at AM 1240 and FM 92.7 Nooga Radio, and we argue for local economy and the free market, suggesting that if you love your neighbor, you will buy local, and that is more what we have to have. We're taught everywhere, and human nature, being what it is, even in the free market analysis, always looks at its own interest first. The individual looks at his own interest first. That's human nature, okay? And that is how the marketplace operates. But what we want to have is something better than the marketplace, something even better than free enterprise, and that would be, I would say that'd be Christendom in short form. But Christendom is definitionally prosperous, right? It definitionally has a long-term view and takes advantage of things such as the Lord's Day rest and has capital to spare. That's how come the ancient Israelites could have a Sabbath year in which they didn't produce any crops. Think about that. They produced so much crops by proper management and godly use of the land, and giving always its rest and giving themselves rest, that the blessings of God were so great in the 6th year that when the 7th year came, they had 3 years worth of food. Think about that. They had the food for that year. They had the food for the year in which they could not till the fields, and then they had food for the next year, which of course takes time for planting and harvest before you have a new crop. So their bins were full, their barns were full, as they often had God's blessings, but of course often did not. And I'm glad we could chat with Matt Floyd, and we are at 800-8949. That's 800-8949. And I'm making a case in my wonderful interruptions. I'm really glad that we can be interrupted. Making a case for Chattanooga being great again. Now, there are 6 reasons, there are 6 ways in which Chattanooga can become great again. The main framework of this analysis is the reduction in force, RIF. Right? RIF is often used when you think of government bureaucracies such as TVA or the EPA or the CDC, who are going to have the wonderful prospect of having to make some good decisions about how to spend their money as they face budget cuts. That is something that is proposed. And this is David Tulis and Colin. You're on the air at Nooga Radio. What is on your mind?
I want to revert back to your first half hour where you were talking about making Chattanooga great again. And you seem to have left out one, in my mind, critical factor, and that is the responsibility of the poor to do for themselves or to help do for themselves. You made it sound as though they couldn't, and I think that they can do a great deal more. And the first thing we need to do in that case is to create a determination in their situation to eliminate the handouts. By doing that, they are going to do more for themselves and consequently improve as our forefathers did when we came to this country.
Well, what is your name, please? Your first name?
Stan.
Ben?
Stanley.
Oh, Stanley. Yes, sir. Well, Stanley, I really thank you for calling, and I'd like you to elaborate just a little bit more. All right, so you're saying, Stanley, that if the poor have reduced subsidies, less handout, they have a better prospect for attaining the kind of character that would make them productive, make them look out for themselves, make them have their own jobs. Talk a little bit more about how that would work. You've got a couple of minutes. Go ahead.
Well, it would create an incentive for them to do for themselves, to provide more for themselves. That's what human nature is all about, in my opinion, is what you don't have and what you feel you need, you will strive to achieve and earn and create for yourself. And as long as we are providing as much as we are, I remember a story here 6 months or a year ago where a woman who was out of work went and got a job, and she worked 30 days and turned in her resignation and said, I can make more sitting home doing nothing than I can have to worry about transportation and clothing and being here on time. And if we have established that kind of protocol for people, there's no point in them trying to improve except to put their hand out for more.
Well, Stanley, where do these disincentives come from? What is their point of origin?
The what?
What is the point of origin of the disincentives that you're describing as having such a negative effect on the poor?
The disincentives are providing things for them that they could provide for themselves. They're not going out and doing the job if they can make just as much money or have just as many benefits, if you will, for lack of a better word, by not doing anything. If they don't have these things and really want them, they will find a way to achieve a profitable way of making those things happen for themselves in life.
Well, I think there's another listener out there, Stanley, who would agree with you. But let me pursue my question. What is this? What is the location, the place, the city where those benefits, or from where those benefits come? Where do they come from?
From what you're talking about, the free market.
Well, no, I'm talking about the benefits of subsidy, the free money that they're getting. From where does it come?
So they're coming from a place where I don't feel is the responsibility of the government.
Right. Okay.
Taxing the other people who are now paying for these subsidies, and until these people stop paying, or there's a created, because we've relied on the government to tell us so much what to do and what not to do. You must wear your seatbelt. You must do this. You must do that. You cannot go too fast. You cannot go too slow. All of these things are dictated, and I forget if it was Jefferson or Franklin who said, those who want security more than liberty will have neither. And we're very close to that precipice as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I think you're being very charitable, Stanley. I think we've gone way past that point. Well, listen, thanks very much for calling. Give me a call back, okay? Stanley, thank you very much.
Okay.
We've been talking with Stanley, pointing out that disincentives for the poor they come from not local economy, they come from national economy. And so that that's why I call Washington and Nashville the good people, because they're bringing free disincentives for the poor here in Hamilton County. And Stanley and other people think that that's a mistake, that we would have more prosperous people leaving poverty if they could just not get these disincentives.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
iBuyChattanoogaHouses.com, Chattanooga's premier house buyer. Do you have a house you need to sell fast? We are buying. Call us today. We are local folks. We will buy your house as is, no repairs needed. We will give you a cash offer and close on the day of your choice. Call us right now, 423-834-7321. Need to sell a house fast? We are buying. Are you experiencing one of these situations? Inherited a house you have no need for? Behind on your property taxes? Nightmare tenants making your life miserable? Too many repairs needed and don't have a desire to fix? Behind on payments and facing foreclosure? Recently divorced and need a way out of the house? Never really wanted to be a landlord and just want to cash out? Trying to relocate and need to sell your house? Do you need to sell a house fast? We are buying. No fees, no hassles, no repair costs. Close on the day of your choice. Our process is simple. Call us today. We inspect your property right away. We make you a fair cash offer. We close on the day of your choice. Call us today, 423-834-7321. Visit our website, iBuyChattanoogaHouses.com. Call us today, 423-834-7321. iBuyChattanoogaHouses.com.
Need windows? Hey folks, do you need new windows? Good news. Window Depot of Chattanooga has a great special going on right now. 10 high-quality, energy-efficient double-hung vinyl windows installed for only $29.90. That's right, 10 double-hung vinyl windows, only $2,990. And yes, they qualify for the TVA rebates. Call 894-0011. Window Depot of Chattanooga today, located at 5950 Shalford Road. Call 894-0011 today.
He stole out so much cash, such a huge mountain of cash, that he's become a national star. Rick Davis. You know the story. Cash, 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 and more cash. People can't believe it. They want to see it. And now Rick Davis has a new TV show. National TV, USA and Canada. He's got the gold and silver, diamonds and rings. You get dizzy just thinking about it. Rick's selling. Rick's buying. Cash, 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 and more cash. And now a mountain of cash catching the Hollywood spotlight. You know where it is. Brainerd Road. Rick Davis, Gold and Diamonds. Cash, 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 and national TV cash. That's really big. Everyone wants to see it. Money flying out the door. Rick Davis is America's jeweler. It's better than Hollywood. It's right here. Cash, 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 and more cash. Rick Davis, Gold and Diamonds. Brainerd Road.
You love me. You really love me.
Are you shovel ready to build a house, but you're not a builder? Are you shovel ready? Michael's Homes is ready to bulldoze its way to a solution for you. You have ideas on what you want in a house, but you're looking for someone to bring your ideas into a plan and turn your plan into a house. Michael's Homes, custom builder. Michael's Homes has lots available at a new subdivision, River Bay Estates, that's Harrison. Maybe River Watch in Saudi Daisy. Choices galore, lots, houses, beautiful homes all over Chattanooga. The Canyons, Hixson, Crystal Brook, Appleton. Drive in, take a look, consult with us. We build on your lot or ours. Homes-Chattanooga.com.
Call 423-413-9929.
It is Eric Jones hard into the outside wall, and they are still 3 and 4 wide. It looks like we're racing at Talladega.
Caution flag is out. It looked like Denny Hamlin was trying to get by Ricky Stenhouse. Got into the back of Ricky at the line. Man, that's a close one. Matt Kenseth wins stage 1.
Green checkered flag is out, and Brad Keselowski has won stage 2.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. into the wall. That will bring out the caution. Caution waving once again. And again, it's Dale Earnhardt Jr. involved.
Oh, trouble. Ty Dillon has gotten turned to the inside of the racetrack, and Clint Boyer has just nailed him.
Matt Kenseth falling back, the field storming by. Something wrong. Now we see sparks from Kenseth's Toyota.
Larson chucks him off. Coming off turn number 2. Goes to tail.
WDLZ HD4 Ooltewah. W224AZ Chattanooga. WSDG Saudi Daisy Chattanooga.
CBS News, I'm Frank Sedapani. The British are taking no chances. Fearing a follow-up to the suicide bombing in Manchester Monday night, officials have stepped up security in a visible way. From Manchester, CBS's Scott Pelly has the latest.
Buckingham Palace canceled this morning's traditional changing of the guard so the police could be deployed elsewhere. And Britain's parliament is now closed to all visitors until the security level is lowered.
Authorities have strong suspicions that suicide bomber Salman Abedi had help, possibly from ISIS elements overseas or within Great Britain. Sky News correspondent Sam Kiley says the bomber had just returned from Libya.
I understand from my own sources, arrived here 3 days prior to the bombing in Manchester, spent 2 days here in London before travelling up to commit his atrocity. Now, that would indicate that he may have found a safe house here in London.
Police reportedly are looking for accomplices who may have helped Abedi make the bomb that killed 22 people. In the Philippines, civilians on the island of Mindanao have fled the fighting between government forces and ISIS.
I have to declare martial law in the Mindanao group of islands.
President Rodrigo Duterte says martial law may be extended to other parts of the country. Phil Robertson with Human Rights Watch worries that Duterte will go too far.
We've seen the lawlessness of the war on drugs that President Duterte has prosecuted. Now we're worried also that human rights violations may accompany this martial law declaration.
Duterte's drug war has claimed the lives of 9,000 dealers and addicts, often without the benefit of a trial. President Trump spent time today with the Pope, and he enjoyed it.
On Twitter, the president said it was an honor of a lifetime to meet His Holiness.
He is something. He is really great. We had a fantastic meeting, and we had a fantastic tour. It was really beautiful.
The president's now on his way to Brussels for meetings with the NATO allies. Aides say he'll discuss with them a Pentagon plan to send thousands more troops into Afghanistan as that war nears its 17th anniversary. Stephen Portnoy, CBS News, Rome.
The president's budget director and his Treasury secretary on Capitol Hill today defending a budget plan that cuts Medicaid, food stamps, and other popular government programs. Ohio Governor John Kasich told CBS this morning ignoring the poor would be bad for the economy.
The problem here is that you can't just take stuff away when people need to be healthy, they need to be fed, you know.
The Congressional Budget Office is set to release its analysis of the Republican health care bill that passed the House and is up for action now in the Senate. Flooding from heavy storms is one danger communities in Louisiana to Virginia have experienced, but in Autryville, North Carolina, it was a tornado that wreaked havoc.
I had branches, the construction barrels rolling in front of me. There was all kind of debris swirling and hitting my car.
In early trading, the Dow Industrials are up 29 points. This is CBS News.
I hate water softeners. I really hate softeners. I hate the thought of lugging salt and that it ruins septic systems. But I hate hard water that causes limescale, which costs thousands in appliance damage and wasted energy.
Stop hating and start loving again with the HydroCare Smart Descaler from Wave Home Solutions. Prevent and eliminate limescale the smart way. No maintenance, no salt, no plumbing required, and better than magnetic wraps. 1 year performance guaranteed. Go to IHateMySoftener.com. IHateMySoftener.com.
Are you looking for senior care for your mom or dad but don't know where to start? Hi, I'm Jen London with The Place for Mom. Nobody knows your parent or loved one better than you, and nobody knows senior living better than the experts at A Place for Mom. It's a free service, and we've helped thousands of families find the right place for their mom or dad. There's a place for answers, A Place for Mom. Call today.
Call A Place for Mom at 1-800-379-1174. That's 1-800-379-1174.
It began with a knock at the door and ended with a major drug bust. CBS's Jim Krasula has the story.
Acting on a tip, authorities found an acre of poppy plants used in producing opium, valued at $500 million, behind a house down a dirt road near Claremont, North Carolina. Investigators, including Catawba County Sheriff Coy Reed, worked in a steady rain to pull the plants out of the ground.
Poppy plants in Catawba County and North Carolina is something new to the area.
Police arrested a man identified as Cody Young. The only other opium poppy plant field found in the U.S. so far this year was in California. Jim Krasula, CBS News, Greensboro, North Carolina.
The government is suing Fiat Chrysler for allegedly equipping diesel vehicles with software that allows them to spew more pollution on the road than in emissions tests. Fiat Chrysler says that, unlike Volkswagen, it didn't install the software with the intent of cheating. Frank Seditani, CBS News.
Expect lots of clouds and still some unsettled weather for your Wednesday, with scattered showers and storms pushing back in from the west. Highs lower 70s tonight. Spotty showers diminishing late, cooler lows mid-50s. Partly sunny, mainly dry, comfortable lower 70s Thursday. Lots of sun on Friday. Check out JCPenney and get to their Memorial Day sale and celebrate the savings with great deals on select items like pillows for $3.99 and tanks for her just $4.99. That's getting your pennies worth at JCPenney. And I'm Sports 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Cole.
On Nooga Radio AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news now.
A possible bomb attack was thwarted in Hixson. Police say they found a man with a homemade explosive device outside businesses in Hixson late Tuesday night. The police say Joshua Redden has been arrested. He's 34 years old, charged with possession of a prohibited weapon, public intoxication, possession of drug paraphernalia, and possession of a controlled substance. The police performed a controlled detonation and destroyed the device. A modern-day Bonnie and Clyde, a couple's been arrested after the police say they robbed multiple businesses across the area. Peyton Cleveland and Bailey Roddy have both been arrested. The police say Cleveland was the muscle man while Roddy was a getaway driver. Miss Roddy was already facing an assault charge from May the 3rd. U.S. Senator Lamar Alexander from Tennessee has secured $37 million for construction on the Chickamauga Lock. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers will continue construction this year. Alexander says everyone who receives shipped goods will benefit. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM knows your opinion is important. So call 800-8949. Agree or disagree. Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM, and 95.3 HD4. News, talk, sports. Nooga Radio. Now, the smartest guy with a bow tie in Chattanooga, Tennessee, David Tulis.
And that leaves occasion for many, many other men, including you, my listener, to be the smartest guy, because you don't wear bow ties. You wear regular ties or just a sports shirt open, and you too can be the smartest guy in Chattanooga if you just tune in for a few minutes every day to our program, or if you're the man who matters, you no doubt will be a subscriber to Nooganomics.com, the website for the man who matters, and one that's not popular. I'm proud to say it is not popular. I don't have any eye candy there, and no teaser headlines, just the facts, and including very complicated and deep stories that have vast implications for the shape of the future legally in Tennessee as we look at cases that could overturn the status quo that operates sharply against the poor, against the miserable and the ignorant here in Hamilton County and across the state, and taken advantage of by all the other people who are able to get by without being noticed by it. This is David Tulis, and we want to find out now about how a couple felt. They were in Chicago, an entrepreneurial couple, serial entrepreneurs, and they felt that coming to Chattanooga, as they did 10 years ago, was a good move for them, and now they are in a business that is really about felt. And by that I mean a wool product that they sold initially online, but which they now sell at a retail store called Over the River Felt. Her name, Jennifer Huinker. His name is Paul Huinker. He's 49 years old, and they are finding new customers by having a store. They have 3 children. The eldest, 18. A girl is going to be graduating from Baylor next week. They have a son at Baylor, 16, and another son, age 12, at Saudi Daisy Middle School. Jennifer, how did you and your husband get into the felt business? And just tell us how you arrived at that from what you did before in a previous business.
Thank you for inviting us, Dave. Starting the felt business really was an expansion of what we were doing before. We had sold a business about 5 years ago that was in the craft type world, and we had semi-retired, and we were just ready to start something new because our kids really had no idea where money came from. They never saw mom and dad work. They just had no concept of work ethic or anything. So we decided to start up a business actually as a family business, and to show our children, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. You want your own world. You want your own success. You want your own future. This is what you have to do. So we started this business as all 3 children at the kitchen table. And we decided this is what we were going to do. We picked one product that I was semi-familiar with, and we just went on from that from plenty of research.
Well, research in what, and went on to what? What do you mean by that? Well, explain some of the details here.
With the felt, if you look in the craft magazines, which I'm an avid craft magazine reader, everything you make craft-wise includes a fabric of some sort. And it started from there. So when you talk about a fabric, you go into the felt or the fabric stores and you have different fabrics. And I just gravitated to the natural fabric that was the first fabric out there. The very, very first fabric ever made, felt.
And where does felt come from? Say something about the origins.
Felt comes from sheep. And an interesting story about felt, how it was actually invented, was the disciples walked many, many, many miles, as we all know, to many villages to spread their word. And they would take chunks of the hair from the sheep and put them in their sandals to cure their ailments from all their walking. And then what they noticed was it turned into a fabric after they walked on it. And that's how felt was invented.
So felt is the strands of wool in felt are held together by a sweat-like material.
Pretty much.
A very flexible glue of some kind?
Well, fowl hair has barbs on it. So when you agitate them together, they lock together. Like a fish hooks will lock into something, and then they don't come apart. So that's how the felt's created.
Well, your business is 3 years old, Jennifer Huinker, and your husband Paul is here in the studio with us. initially it was online. How did you start online? How did you talk about the process of finding traffic, of finding the way to present yourself there?
This is our third business that we've owned, and just from our experience, we know that you have to start off on the internet. So we started off on eBay, Etsy, and now Amazon. You have to do it on the internet. You have to do your research on the internet, and you have to sell on the internet. That's your diving board, and then you have to move to your own website. I've done it successfully 3 times.
And how long? What is your website, and how long has it been out there?
Our website is overtheriverfelt.com.
Overtheriverfelt.com. Okay.
Yes, and we've had the website since day one, but we also had eBay, Etsy, Amazon. So you have to do them all together.
And how do you get business on the internet? Explain that mystery, please.
Well, eBay, like I said, eBay, the portals is what they're called. eBay, Etsy, if you don't have a lot of money, that's where you need to start, because they do the advertising for you. You don't have to have that large investment. They do everything for you. You just pop in what you have and you start selling it. So with this business, we started with $250. And we've not spent any of our own money, and it's grown.
So from $250 investment, probably in stock, right? Was that
in
just,
inventory?
Like
yes.
I'm holding in my hand for the viewer looking at us on YouTube Live and also on Facebook. A stack of about 2 inches thick of various colored block squares of felt that there's 38 pieces, and you sell for $14.85.
Yes.
Okay, so you start off with $250 of stock like this,
yes.
and your sales were always enough to cover the shipping and the expense of the website and so on.
Yes, and we just kept reinvesting until we have it. We have an inventory of probably about 60,000 right now.
And now you're saying that, and the listener thinks, well, okay, I have to look at pictures of this online, but it's really more than that, right? They're not looking at it online only anymore.
Right.
Where do they see it?
We have
directly.
We have a retail location on Dayton Pike, pretty close to Thrasher. We have a great retail shop. You can just walk on in. We're open Tuesday through Saturday from 10:30 to 4. We have plenty of different types of felts, different wools. We have yarns, appliques, anything really that you need for your crafter.
Well, you mentioned that, Jennifer Huinker, that you started this business with your husband, Paul, hoping to get your children to see where money comes from. What have they learned in helping out? How have they assisted in your business? The eldest is 18 and the youngest is 12.
The eldest is 18, and she drags herself out of bed every Saturday morning, if she likes it or not, at 8 o'clock to get to work. She does a lot of the artwork for me. Because I can't even draw a stick figure. So she does help with a lot of the inspiration ideas and graphics and things like that. My middle one, he drags himself out at 16 at 8 o'clock every Saturday morning, and he gets himself to work, and he does a lot of the, I want to say manual labor, but he does a lot of the cutting of the fabric and bundling and shipping and, getting things out the door. And then our littlest one, he makes all the gift packages for the customers. He works just as hard as the other two.
Are they paid, or is this
they are paid.
Investment in family capital?
No, they are paid.
They're given a stipend of some kind.
They are paid minimum wage.
Well, now minimum wage. Okay. Are they statutory employees, or are they just? Is this just a family relationship?
I treat them as employees.
And so their payment is a cost against the business. Well, what about now? Summertime is here. They've got more time on their hands, Jennifer, and
they also have more time to work.
Well, all right. So you have capacity and labor. Is your market increasing enough to use that capacity that they'll have with time off from school?
Oh yes. We went on Amazon, and we can't even keep up. We just. It's crazy.
The listener wonders, well, how does the Huinker business set itself apart from other suppliers of felt, this cotton, this woolen material? How do you set yourself apart in that field? Are there so few suppliers that everybody just comes to you, or is there a lot of competition?
There is competition, but there is very few suppliers that offer it in the way that we offer it. We only offer American made. And only natural, meaning acid dyes, which are a natural like dyes that come from vegetables and fruits and things like that, and they put citric acid to make it attached to the proteins. So we make sure the quality is there. We make sure that it's American made, and then we cut it in a way that's not offered out in the public. So you can't get this size. You cannot get that at the store.
Okay, I'm holding, again, you're pointing to what I'm holding in my hand. The viewer on YouTube can see this, and you listening, just imagine it's about 2 inches thick. It's about 5 inches by 5 inches square. There's a nice knot, a little bit of loose tie, and it's sold in lots of 38. Now, who uses this type? Who buys this particular thing?
That particular type,
Jennifer,
would be your quilter, your applicator, somebody who may line vintage drawers for like jewelry drawers, things like that. Somebody who just makes a small craft item.
Are your customers mostly women?
Gosh, no. We thought that when we first started, but actually 40% of our customers are men because wool has a lanolin in it, and it is great for anything metal. So a lot of my men customers will use it for gun cases, gun racks, knife cases, and the big customers would be the military because they're metals that they wear, and then they put in the display cases. They're metal. So they have to go on a wool felt or they'll tarnish. So we sell a lot of felt to the men that make those cases.
So that's a private market. You're not a government contractor.
No.
At over the river felt in Saudi Daisy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of furniture makers too that are men, and mechanics, because old cars had the felt in the gaskets, and then the interior of the cars were wool.
Well, explain that. I'm not quite getting what you're saying. You're saying engine gaskets are made of wool?
They are. I know. I don't make a vehicle, so I had no idea.
So those pieces, though, they're very firm, they're very hard, and they're cut to weird shapes, like circle shapes, right?
Yes. I do not cut those. The customer cuts them themselves, yes.
Well, your business has grown organically. Many people in business think that I've got a small business and I need to expand. I need to expand now. And I need a $100,000 loan so that I can have scale. What about the idea of scaling your business, borrowing for your business? What do you want to happen in the future? What is your projection of your field in the future and the American economy? And borrowing or not borrowing?
Yeah, I go back and forth on the borrowing. It would be nice to just have all that money and just go hog wild and get that inventory that we need and market, and then grow business really fast. You can do that. That's great. Personally, we're in the stage of life that I'm in. I'm just going to continue with the organic, and it may sound slow.
The organic growth.
Yeah, the organic growth. That may sound slow, but I can guarantee you, if I come back here in a year and a half, it'll be $1 million business.
Well, this is very interesting and very compelling. This is David Tulis. Thanks for giving us a minute of your time here. We are at AM 1240 and FM 92.7 Nooga Radio, where we cover local economy and the free markets. My name is David Tulis, and the man with the bow tie, the slow man of Chattanooga. I do like being the slow man of Chattanooga, and I think that if you're slow and ask the dumb question, you actually get further in the world and learn more about people than if you're the smart person who has all the answers and has the insightful question. Well, Jennifer, you're talking about organic growth, but you and your husband Paul have had other businesses. I'd like you just to sketch out this is your third business.
Yes.
Is it a company or is it just a business? Your other ones look like, I think they were companies.
They were companies. Yeah, and the current one is actually a company.
Okay, so
also.
you've incorporated.
Yeah. Yes, we have.
Well, say something about the textile ribbon manufacturing company that you had prior to Over the River Felt here in Saudi Daisy.
We loved that, growing that business. We started another business we started with almost no money. We started that one with $50. And in 10 years, without borrowing a penny, we were up to $3.5 million. So it can be done. You just have to work really hard. You have to do your studying. You have to be out there offering things, not necessarily that aren't out there already. I mean, obviously ribbon was already out there. We just packaged it in a different way. We listened to the customers. We offered in different patterns and increments and cuts that manufacturers weren't willing to offer. And you just got to find that niche. You got to find the product that you have a passion for and repackage it into something that works better.
Now, the business we're talking about, the textile ribbon manufacturer, was here in Hixson. It was a 10,000 square foot building and you sold all your interest in that business to another party.
Yes.
Now, what was the one before?
My husband had actually started a carpet cleaning and restoration business when he was in his teens, and he started that with his family, and then it split. So then me and my husband ran it for several years, and then once the ribbon business was taking off, we had sold that business.
My listener thinks that somehow he can get by in business by thinking about himself and his own problems and his own needs, and somehow not really asking a lot of questions. I think asking questions and having a relationship with your customer is very important. Am I right, or is he right? How important is relationship and finding and just knowing your customers, and not just on points of business and transactions, but in the larger or deeper sense? Talk about relationships with customers.
Yeah, you absolutely have to listen to every single word your customer's telling you. I actually, in the ribbon business, a good lesson I had was in the early years, I was stubborn and I thought I knew everything, of course. And something as simple as a color scheme, I wasn't willing to go. Even the customer saying, we'd really like this brown and turquoise polka dot stuff. And I'm like, that is the ugliest thing I've ever seen. I wasn't going to do it. I was stomping my feet, refused to listen. Finally, I was talked into doing it. $200,000 later, that was the biggest mistake I did, not listening earlier, because it could have turned into a lot more money.
What if my listener, it works for someone in employment and he has something he knows about in the field where he's employed? What can he do to capitalize what he knows and capitalize on his connections? What are the steps he needs to have in his thinking processes?
Well, hang on to that business for just a little, or hang on to that job for a little while and get your feet wet. If it's a product, get it out there on eBay. See what the customers say back to you. Say, oh, I really love this, I don't know, plunger. But could you make the handle pink? Yes, I will. Do it. So just get your feet wet. Just try it eBay. Get out on the portals and get that customer feedback before you go full, big.
So there really has to be an investment in time. I think a man who's an employee often doesn't want to do any developmental work in his field because somehow he thinks, I'm not getting paid for it. I work 40 hours a week on the payroll in this field. Though I know a lot about it, I really don't want to explore a side business in that field because somehow he just can't quite see it being rewarding. But that could be a mistake for him. He should perhaps develop maybe a consultancy or a solution in his business, in his line of business, even though he's just an employee.
Right. But there's always delayed gratification, and that's all self-employed people. They work, and they keep studying and they keep trying, and then all of a sudden you get paid.
What about borrowing? You've grown this current business over the river felt without borrowing. It's been internal growth. You haven't had to have external funding. You're indicating, but you paid your initial startup capital of a couple $100, paid for everything as you went, and you grew very slowly. Do you recommend that, or do you have warnings about borrowing? What's your take on debt?
We've never borrowed, so I can't really give too much advice on that. Where we are at now in our life, we may consider borrowing just because it just makes it, we know what we're doing. This is our third business. We know what we're doing. And I think if we were offered that opportunity, we may take it just so we can grow it big.
Well, tell my listener again, Jennifer Huinker, about Over the River Felt. Where is it again, and what are your hours, and how can he find out more about you online?
We are in Soddy Daisy, and you can bring your spouse with you, and we have a great lounge for the spouses. Actually, we have two couches, a big screen TV, and a coffee maker, so you can have fun while your spouse is shopping. Anyway, we're on Soddy Daisy on Dayton Pike, just north of Thrasher Pike, and we're open on Tuesdays through Saturdays from 10:30 to 4. And you could also, I guess you can call us, but I don't know the number.
Sure, go ahead.
My husband will have to find the number. I cannot memorize these things.
Well, this is David Tulis, and we're glad you're giving us a moment of your time here at Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and FM 92.7.
All right. Our number is 803-4375, and we'd be happy to have you.
Well, we do thank you, Jennifer, for joining us.
Thank you so much. It was great.
This is David Tulis, and we are here at the Station for the Man Who Matters, and we're brought to you by Nooganomics.com. Read my story today about the Basil Marceau hearing on Monday. It took me a couple days to write. There's no media competition for coverage on this important gentleman He is a controversialist. He is a defendant provocateur, as I say. He likes having cases live, and he in a way he needs to be a defendant so that he can push his argument. And the argument he's making in court Monday and in interviews with me and in some of his writings is that the state has actually less threat than we think, and legally less ground to stand on than we assume. And his effort in sum is to defang the police state. That is where he's going with his litigation. And he says he's going to be a candidate for governor, a protest candidate, perhaps just in the next cycle. We are online at noogaradio.com, also live on Facebook and live on YouTube. I do thank you for giving me just a minute of your time. Near is better than far, small than big, and simple than complex. And down in the footnotes, where the good people fight, we also have a thrust. This is David Tulis.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news now.
A possible bomb attack was thwarted in Hixson. Police say they found a man with a homemade explosive device outside businesses in Hixson late Tuesday night. The police say Joshua Redden has been arrested. He's 34 years old, charged with possession of a prohibited weapon, public intoxication, possession of drug paraphernalia, and possession of a controlled substance. The police performed a controlled detonation and destroyed the device. A modern-day Bonnie and Clyde, a couple's been arrested after the police say they robbed multiple businesses across the area. Peyton Cleveland and Bailey Roddy have both been arrested. The police say Cleveland was the muscle man while Roddy was a getaway driver. Miss Roddy was already facing an assault charge from May the 3rd. U.S. Senator Lamar Alexander from Tennessee has secured $37 million for construction on the Chickamauga Lock. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers will continue construction this year. Alexander says everyone who receives shipped goods will benefit. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Expect lots of clouds and still some unsettled weather for your Wednesday, with scattered showers and storms pushing back in from the west. Highs lower 70s tonight. Spotty showers diminishing late. Cooler lows mid-50s. Partly sunny, mainly dry, comfortable lower 70s Thursday. Lots of sun on Friday. Check out JCPenney and get to their Memorial Day sale and celebrate the savings with great deals on select items like pillows for $3.99 and tanks for her just $4.99. That's getting your pennies worth at JCPenney. And I'm 1412 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Cole.
On Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
I have the best steak selection in town. Name of the business is Don's Meat Shop, and I'm Donnie Raines. Just ask for Donnie. I make over 20 different types of sausages. Most of them are great for grilling. We have the best selection, best quality. We have the hard-to-find items. Don's Meat Shop.
Window Depot of Chattanooga. They're locally owned and operated and been around since 2008, installing top-quality vinyl replacement windows. You get the best price and service in the area. Top-quality double pane, energy-efficient windows. They look great and save you money.
Oh, I love to save money.
You'll also save money on your heating and cooling costs. Call 894-0011. 894-0011. WindowDepotChattanooga.com. WindowDepotChattanooga.com. Sales and installation professionals. You'll get a fantastic job while helping to enhance the value, appearance, comfort, and efficiency of your most valuable asset, your home. Other window providers? No way. Window Depot Chattanooga's windows qualify for the TVA rebate. Sliding doors, gutters, soffits, fascia, garage doors, and other home improvements. If you want to save a ton, call 894-0011. WindowDepotChattanooga.com. WindowDepotChattanooga.com. Window Depot of Chattanooga. Sales and installation professionals.
And now to our reporter in the field.
We asked Ray at Ray's Plumbing what's important for homeowners to know.
Some field line systems can cost upwards of $10,000. The bottom line is to save yourself money down the road. I would definitely recommend everybody with a septic that is not on county or city sewer to have an inspection done by a qualified professional. It'd be great if nobody did inspections on them for all plumbing companies. That's what we do to make a living. Not to scare anyone, but it should be in the back of your mind. The danger is a field line failing and costing thousands upon thousands of dollars and tearing your yard up. By preventative maintenance, you're saving yourself a large headache
tank that may displace yourself and your family. That happens more often than you think. The waste is designed to stay in the tank, and that waste will build up over time. Even with treatment, we have to help that waste break down. Ultimately, preventative maintenance is the key that will keep you from spending $5,000 to $10,000 on replacing your septic system. The bottom line is to save yourself money down the road.
Call Ray at Ray's Plumbing, 421-6341, 421-6341.
Competent, kind, caring, knowledgeable, experienced, great listener, great negotiator, in touch, accessible. If these are the characteristics you want and need in a realtor, you want and need Thomas DeMoss of Keller Williams Realty. Thomas is a very gifted realtor who puts the client's needs first. Whether you're buying or selling a home, Thomas is the realtor of choice. Thomas will help and guide you through each step of this very important process. For many of us, the purchase of a home is one of our largest investments and most important family and financial decision. Let Thomas use his 10 years of experience in the Chattanooga real estate market to give you the advantage you need when buying or selling a home. Buying a house? Thomas can help you navigate the emotional and somewhat anxious process of buying a home. For those of you who want to sell a house, Thomas uses his marketing and negotiating experience to help you sell your home for top dollar. Thomas is a local resident, raising his family here in Hamilton County. He knows the area very well. For many agents, real estate is a job. With Thomas DeMoss, it's a passion and what he loves to do. Call Thomas today for a no-obligation consultation. He makes the process as simple as possible. Call 423-364-0028 and visit his website, northriverpropertygroup.com.
Need a tiller to get things going for the spring? Spiff up your porch, maybe your deck? Come on by and get a pressure washer at Action Rental. Family in town, need some tables and chairs for an event? Come on by and see us. Action Rental. This is Dan at Action Rental on Lee Highway. Come by and see me. Action Rentals.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM knows your opinion is important. So call 800-8949. Agree or disagree? Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM, and 95.3 HD4. News, talk, sports. Nooga Radio. Now, the smartest guy with a bow tie in Chattanooga, Tennessee, David Tulis.
We were hearing about the Trump budget, which is going to be devastating the poor and enhancing the power of the warfare state. We thought that Donald Trump was a non-interventionist, which is to say someone who would try to be neutral in looking at conflicts around the world. But no, he is going to be injecting federal power more than his predecessors. He's going to be cutting $616 billion in subsidies for the poor. We might say, as Stanley, our caller a moment ago, was saying, disincentives for the poor by $616 billion. And a proposal would also cut student loans, which is, of course, a way of enslaving people, having a guaranteed claim on their future incomes for decades. He's going to cut that stream of debt against the young by $143 billion. And farmers will be, one story says, by at the Time Free Press website, will be cut by a meager $38 billion. Food stamps will be down by $191 billion over the next decade. As defense, as they call it, the operation of the Pentagram will be at $469 billion more in the coming decade. What about Chattanooga? Where does Chattanooga need to go? How do we need to view the coming disintegration, the coming blowback against overreach, which is something that's many say is long overdue. But we have to be patient. We have to be patient, knowing that the collapse of the Leviathan in Washington, with its tendrils in every part of the economy, there's not any part of industry or manufacturing or human existence that does not have a claim upon it, a slightly wiggling octopus arm, if you will, of government rule or edict or environmental control, whether it's toilet tanks or light bulbs that you buy at Floyd's Hardware, the locally owned hardware store in Sada Daisy. One of a kind, a rare place indeed typifying a rare place. Indeed, across the homogenized, industrialized, mediatized, and corporatized national economy landscape. This is David Tulis, and I do thank you for giving me just a minute of your time here at Nooga Radio. We are exploring local economy. 800-8949, 800-8949. And blowback, I think, is an important word. If we're going to become a great city in the future, well, if we're going to become that, obviously is future. So the phrase in the future is redundant. If we're going to become a great city, making Chattanooga great again, as one could perhaps say, though that implies a past greatness, if we're going to have a great future, what is the shape of that? What do we have to do? There are 6 things I'm trying to tick off here that would be part of that picture. In other words, things in the way of reform that we would like to see happen, though it is beyond the power of any one person to bring these things about. Though I'd like to suggest that there are favorable for them. For example, the election of Demetrius Coonrod on city council. That is a remarkable story. The press was negligent in reporting on her background, but people already knew something about her. But the fact that she was elected suggests a real measure of grace among people who, as they read after her election, read all that she did, they probably might not have voted for her. So there's a kind of a dereliction on the part of the press, but still, that she was elected under what could be called cloudy background is, I think, very much in favor of Chattanooga. And she, I'd say, above all the candidates at the time and all those who are now the holders of city council seats, she's one, I think, attuned to the need for reform, just based on her experience with the judicial industrial complex that is showing itself more and more to be all about injustice and all about a certain rapine, that's rape, rapine against the poor and even against minorities who often are poor and who often are made poor by their belief in the system, their belief in popular lies, you could say, by the Anglo establishment, bringing them into a servitude really worse and more humiliating than slavery in the Old South prior to 1865. That slavery had the benefits of being personal. The slavery that we have today among minorities is one that has sapped their spirit, and there's no motive for self-liberation, for manumission, if you will, that affected, and you might say infected for good, the hearts of people who were enslaved, brought over in the slave ships, but who bought their own freedom. And they brought their own freedom because they had become Christians. That's why, as Irving Berlin in his book fails to really to develop, they obtained Christianity and became free. But we have, well, hang on. This is David Tulis, and caller, you're on the air live. What is on your mind?
Surprisingly, David, you tend to be like libertarian and conservative, but also an apologist for the poor black community. Yeah, it's amazing to me. I mean, is this white guilt? Should I cut him a check? Come on. You know, they come over from Asia. People from Asia in 2 years, they're stacked in a house and they're owning businesses, and they come over from India. You're enabling, listen, liberals are enabling poor blacks to be poor blacks. Either it's in their genes, and I hate to say this is not racist, or they're stupid, or it's whites enabling them. I mean, it's got to be one. Go to Detroit. What is this? I mean, why can't we tell the truth? And I'm not a racist. I treat everybody the same when I meet them. But when you go into neighborhoods that are poor, that are primarily African American, come on. Come on. Stop the excuses. Get a job. Get an education. Learn a trade. Stop with your pants down around your ass and being thuggish. Listen, the white Western European culture is what brought man out of the Dark Ages. It's not about color, it's about culture. You could be a millionaire and be poor. You could be poor and be a millionaire in your spirit. It's time to stop enabling poor black communities community needs to be poor and black, and poor old me and white guilted. I need to see another movie on slavery. Slavery's been over for 150 years. Come on.
Well, there's a good point there, and I'm not, and I don't think you, my listener, disagree with that caller, and you understand what he's saying, and you agree, and what he says, he makes a good point, and what Mike argues there has value. The problem, though, if we're going to look for, if we want to have reform in Chattanooga, we have to see that that there are things that we need to work around, and we can't stop the free money coming into Chattanooga to make people poor. Right? There's so much free money going into public schools, the lunch program, many other things. There's so much that we can't stop it. All we can do is say no at some point. And I think that being a great city, and to get to the 6 points that I'm trying to make regarding the framework of a great city of Chattanooga in the future that we don't have now. And the reason we don't have it is because there's too much free money that as Stanley, a caller earlier, mentioned, creates disincentives for people who are connected to it, who are part of the machine that dispenses that money and brings its adherents and its supplicants into servitude. These are interventions, and for there to be freedom and prosperity in Chattanooga in the future, for it to be a true city-state in the way that Dave Crockett has proposed, the former city council member who I think was part of making Chattanooga great in the 90s, late 80s and 90s. There was huge potential that he, as a kind of a liberal, he's a liberal environmentalist, but he was a loco-centrist because that combination worked well. He brought Chattanooga to a high point, and I think in a lot of ways it's somewhat receded from that, and it's kind of lost its identity, if you will. But to get back to that sense of purpose and encouragement, of self-identification, you could say even of lococentrism, or as my word for it is Noogacentrism, and I am David Tulis, the leading Noogacentrist in Chattanooga, right, the guru of local economy here alone at Nooga Radio and Nooganomics.com. Interventionism is a problem. Just so I don't forget to mention Salman Abedi, the bomber at that concert, 22 years old. He was the fruit of intervention. Right? We have federal intervention in local economy to devastating effect, to inhibiting prosperity, inhibiting the entrepreneurial spirit, and making many people become dependent, right? There are all kinds of programs that people rationally take advantage of to become dependent. They're not. You could say they're sinners to do that, but the system is designed to at every point to create disincentives for the free market, disincentives for labor, innovation, disincentives for thinking about other people. Right? The marketplace requires that you, my listener, think about others and make them prosper. That's what the Hinkers do, running Over the River Felt, the Saudi Daisy Felt shop that started online. They're always thinking about their customers and listening carefully to the customers. That's where prosperity comes from. Their prosperity rises and will rise again into the millions in this business because they strictly look at their customers and future customers. What can we do to help them? The subsidy market, the breaking cartelized national economy, which you could say is led locally by public schools. These create disincentives and the evaporation of knowledge and wisdom that bring people into industry, into innovation, into invention. Right? Those things are blocked by the cartel's operations, and public schools run for that purpose. They're not for learning your numbers and your writing. That's not why they're there. They're there to school people. The main curriculum in school is school. Okay, it's not math or science or English. It is school, and school means that you think like other people and you become compliant and complicit and agreeable. That is what and obedient. Right? You learn to obey. You learn to follow the rules. You learn not to shake up systems. You learn to be complicit, you might say, with what's going on with the reigning, whatever the reigning opinion is. You go along with it. That's what school is about. The main curriculum in school is not math, not STEM. It's school. That's according to the New York Teacher of the Year, John Taylor Gatto. Salman Abedi is a product of federal and UK overthrow of Gaddafi in Libya, regime change policy in Syria. He was a Libyan. He was radicalized by several trips to Libya that became a nursing ground, a training ground for terrorists. Right, these terrorists came from the places that we were involved in. We created the hell that now is being exported to the United States and to Great Britain. After the U.S., reading here from Daniel McAdams, he says that after the UK and the U.S. and Allied liberation of Libya, all manner of previously outlawed and fiercely suppressed radicals, jihadist groups suddenly found that they had free reign to operate. Again, because we were there and we created chaos by intervening, right, by destroying existing relationships that may not have always been pretty. All right, they may not have always been pretty, but Gaddafi had to go because he was defying the hegemony, the control of the Federal Reserve Bank paper currency. That was one reason he had to go. And so there were secret reasons for his overthrow, not the fact that he was a dictator. That the fact that we have dictators here, right? We don't have to go overseas to find them. This is the Libya that Abedi returned to, and we had likely gone several times before his suicide attack, killing these attendees. And Gaddafi warned Europe in January of 2011 that if he was overthrown, the result would be radical Islamic attacks on Europe. And that's what happened. Post-Gaddafi, Libya is the incubator of Islamic terrorists and terrorism, including prime recruiting ground, McAdams says, for extremists to fight jihad in Syria against the also secular Bashar Assad regime. So intervention, as you see, brings war. Intervention is the use of force to create some pretended peaceful goal, but the result usually is not. Usually there's chaos. Usually there is a requirement for more force, and that's why we are. We can say we are a very pacific people. I'm a pro-gun person if there ever was one, and I believe in the right of self-defense and in the Second Amendment, and also the Tennessee Constitution provisions for the right to bear arms. On the other hand, the use of weapons should be very, very limited, especially by the state. The state uses weapons routinely. Look at police officers when they graduate. Each one standing there in the photograph in the Times Free Press, I think it was the Metro page, all with 3 clips of bullets, right? Why do you need, if each bullet has 15 rounds, why do you need 45 bullets if you're maintaining public order? Why on earth do we need that? Well, you see, there's a problem there, the use of force. If we're going to have a great city in the future, if we're going to make Chattanooga great again, Mecca, you could say, if we're going to have Mecca, we need to get our spelling right. The spelling is not to say on, as in to get on, to go along, to become agreeable, and to join the gravy train of federal money and state money. We need to say no. No. On and no these are 2 words with the same letters, and we get the spelling wrong. And we think we should be saying on. And in our cupidity, our laziness, our greed, our self-absorption here in Chattanooga, our spirit of compliance, our spirit of sessions, which is to say of seeding, right? SEEDE, right? To seed. In seeding left and right to these promises and claims of the good people in Washington, we are saying on, O-N, and we should be saying N-O. And the thing we're saying no to is the promises and entrapments and the riches, the promise of riches in the federal system. The federal system, which makes money for nothing, which has a bank that creates dollars from absolutely nothing. $20 billion a month from the central banking system of the world. Created from nothing, euros, dollars, and yen. And there's blowback. The blowback is against us. And if we're going to be great, I think we need to have an economy and a life in Chattanooga where there is less force. And the force we're talking about is not private force. That the gang problem is not the real problem. Okay, the gang problem is a justification for a vertically integrated organization called the police department in every city to operate in similar fashion, using threats and force to bring people into compliance. That's just a state of warfare, and the state needs it. It always needs a state of warfare so that it can justify its security measures, right? And we need to have in Chattanooga, I would like you to think, a marketplace economy, a sharing economy, one that's zoning free, one that has a lower and lower rate of taxation as people finally get fed up with subsidizing inefficient cartels that serve not families, but the state. Public schools don't serve the family. They don't serve the individual. They are designed to serve the management state, the management commercial and industrial classes. Why do you think there's such a business interest in schooling? Why is schooling not about education, not about each child finding his own genius, finding his own narrative, finding his place in God's kingdom, in God's creation, for God's purposes, for his glory, and for that individual's benefit, but for the state? Why do we have these systems, and why do we accept them when they deprive individuals of their own story, as Gatto likes to say? We need to have lawful courts, and court reform is something important. And I think as we go further into the post-state era, the post-nation state era, that will increase the discredit states have. We know there's discredit. We know there's a loss of connection between the people and the state, and the people are just going to use the state for their own ends. And that's what happens always in the decline. It happened in the Soviet Union before it finally couldn't make ends meet and collapsed. It adopted the American system. But the American system is not really of commercial government. It's not really survivable evil either. It's not sustainable. It is an unsustainable model. And there will be in the end, they'll only have old people on the federal dole, and there won't be any money left with our 10,000 new enrollees per day in Medicare, Medicaid, and SS. There won't be any money left for new tanks, new aircraft carriers, and military adventurism overseas. If we're going to have, are there 6 points? I'm not sure I've gotten the 6 points nailed down with numbers next to them. But lawful courts would be another point, and that would be legal reform, and that would be policing reform, bringing justice, and that can't be done by the system reforming itself. It won't reform itself, though there can be some bad shakes made against it in the way of reform. The reform has to come by people saying, I don't need to go to court. We can solve our own problem by private court, by a Jackie Schulten type mediation service, right? That's what we need to have, more people like Jackie Schulten, especially people who are learned in Scripture. They're people who have knowledge of real equity, real justice. They can be good judges. They can impanel themselves and privately settle disputes and bring relief, bring peace to the realm. Well, there are 6 in there somewhere. You'll just have to pair them out. This is David Tulis at AM 1240 and FM 92.7 Nooga Radio. I do thank you for the minute that you've given me. And now, important announcements.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
I've got a $10 bill for you at the best paint store in Chattanooga. David here. Hi. Big savings right now on paint and stains. Chattanooga Paint and Decorating. More than a paint store. Ring up a can and keep that $10 bill. Save on select paints and stains at Chattanooga Paint and Decorating. More than a paint store. Pittsburgh, Porter, Glidden, Prolux, Olympic, Flood. $10 a can. Savings this week. Jim and his team are here to help and advise, and to help you hold on to your money. 5529 Hixson Pike, Chattanooga Paint and Decorating, ChattanoogaPaint.com.
When my brother and I opened the first Jets Pizza, we believed if we made the best pizza, customers would find us. So we made fresh dough each day, used fresh toppings, and premium mozzarella cheese. 300-plus stores later, we still do.
Try Jet's famous 8-corner pizza with premium mozzarella cheese and 1 topping, now just $11.99 for a limited time only. Jet's Pizza, the best pizza in town. 3600 Hixson Pike.
Life is short. Eat better pizza.
Let's get Jets. He stole out so much cash, such a huge mountain of cash, that he's become a national star. Rick Davis. You know the story. Cash, 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 and more cash. People can't believe it. They want to see it. And now Rick Davis has a new TV show. National TV, USA and Canada. He's got the gold and silver, diamonds and rings. You get dizzy just thinking about it. Rick's selling. Rick's buying. Cash, 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 and more cash. And now a mountain of cash catching the Hollywood spotlight. You know where it is. Brainerd Road, Rick Davis, Golden Diamonds. Cash, 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 and national TV cash. That's really big. Everyone wants to see it. Money flying out the door. Rick Davis is America's jeweler. It's better than Hollywood. It's right here. Cash, 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 and more cash. Rick Davis, Golden Diamonds, Brainerd Road.
You love me. You really love me.
I've been a customer at S&S 14 years. It's way out of my way, but I'm well treated. I believe what I'm told. Price is reasonable. David Tulis here. Make an S&S appointment today. This week, get $50 off any 30,000-mile service or timing belt repair. And get a free combat knife as a gift. S&S Auto Repair specializes in Toyota, Lexus, Honda, Acura, Scion, Nissan, and Infiniti. 6-time winner of Best of the Best award in the Times Free Press. 855-3436. ssautorepair.net. 855-3436. What kind of name is Herb Garanzi? Anyway, Herb